Leeds and Burnley have just been promoted to the Premier League again, which means they're more than likely going to get relegated from the Premier League next season again. Now, the reason I say this is because every season since the 18-19 season, at least one promoted club has been relegated in their first season back in the Premier League. And with all three promoted teams from last season being relegated this season, it now means that for the second season in a row, no promoted team has beat the drop. And the gap is only getting bigger. I mean, last season Luton was relegated by 6 points, and as it stands right now, Ipswich are 15 points behind West Ham. So it's getting bigger and bigger. So let's talk about the question, does the Premier League have a problem? Well, let's start talking about Leeds and Burnley, because Leeds are a very good football team. They were unlucky last season not to go up. Of course, they lost to Southampton, and this season they've smashed it, rightfully so. They've probably been the best team in the league alongside with Burnley. They are the two deserved winners. But is going up to the Premier League, and I know this is going to sound stupid, is going up to the Premier League really that good? Now, I'm going to just throw us back a couple of years, and I'm going to go all the way back to the 22-23 championship season, because Burnley got 101 points that season. Sheffield United finished second on 91 points, and of course Luton went up in the playoffs. But Sheffield United and Burnley that season were unbelievable. Burnley won the league by 10 points. Burnley and Sheffield United, Sheffield United finished second by, I think, 10, 11 points. So they absolutely smashed it in the championship. But then when you look at the following season in the Premier League, Luton finished top of the bottom three, and they got relegated by 6 points. Burnley finished on 24, and Sheffield United got 16 points. And it's I don't know, it shows that the gap between the Premier League and the Championship is hard. And I'm gonna back it up with more evidence. Let's talk about this season. Now, the 23-24 Championship season, so last season, Leicester absolutely they didn't walk the league. Leicester was very good. They were probably the best team in the Championship. Of course, they won it. Ipswich shocked everyone. They were extremely good. And Leeds, like I said, didn't go up last season. It was Southampton. They lost in the playoff final. But Leeds was still a very good squad, and we're going to see that again this season. But, like I said, Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton all went up. They were very good teams. Leicester and Ipswich were promoted by 6 and 7 points respectively. But yeah, when you look at this season, again, Southampton are currently on 11 points, who are tied at the minute with Derby to maybe be the worst Premier League team ever. And for a long time, they looked like they were going to break that record. Now, Leicester have absolutely been awful this season, especially at home. I think they haven't won in however long, or they went 9 games without scoring at home or something crazy like that. And they are on 18 points. Now, I know I mentioned it earlier, the gap between the bottom 3 and the last safety spot is getting bigger. Of course, like I said, Luton got relegated by 6 this season. Ipswich are 15 points behind. If you compare the points this season compared to last season, 26, 24 and 16 was last season's bottom 3 points. If you look at this season, you've got 21, 18 and 11. So the points are getting lower and the gap is getting bigger. So what is going on in the Premier League? Now, I can't say it's money, because Southampton spent a fair bit. Leicester, again, spent a fair bit. Ipswich brought a lot of players. But when you look at Ipswich's players, did they maybe buy players that weren't Premier League quality? Did they maybe buy, Championship superstars? Because maybe they thought, right, if we go down, we're going to come back up. But then the question is, next season, they've obviously been relegated this season. Next season, if they do go up, are they not just going to come straight back down again? And this is the question. Does the Premier League have a problem? Because very rarely, at the minute, or so it seems, the promoted teams are going to stay up. But then again, you've got a counter-argument. You've got 3 teams specifically that I want to talk about here. I mean, look at Nottingham Forest. So Nottingham Forest last season stayed up by 6 points. They were the team that Luton missed out on. They finished 17th. Now, if you look at the Premier League table this season, Nottingham Forest are absolutely flying. You know, they've got to an FA Cup semi-final. They were third for so long. They've dropped a little bit now. They're, I think, 6th place. Let me double check. Yeah, they're 6th place at the moment. And they finished 17th. So, is the gap really that big between Championship and the Premier League? Or is it just about ownership and how the club is ran? And I know I said 3 clubs. The other 2 clubs I want to speak about here is Bournemouth. Bournemouth are, again, a very good example of, you know, they go down and then they come back up and they're doing all right. You know, Bournemouth aren't the biggest team in the world. You know, the stadium only holds like 12,000. But this season they are 10th and they've been in or round about the top 6 for a lot of the season. So, again, it goes down. Is the gap really that big? Or are the promoted clubs not being ran that well? And the final club we're going to talk about is Brentford, because I think Brentford, out of the 3 teams, maybe Nottingham Forest, but Brentford might be the best example of why the gap necessarily isn't that big. Because if you look at Brentford's squad now, they've still got the majority of the squad that got promoted. I mean, and Buemo's still there. And yeah, Brentford, you know, they're not pushing for top 6 like Forest and Bournemouth have been, but they barely spend any money. I mean, like I said, the Championship squad that they got promoted with, a lot of those players are still in this team, and they're not really struggling. I mean, last season they finished 16th. They were 13 points clear of the drop, but they don't look like a team that's going to struggle. So it's a difficult one, because as a Birmingham fan, yes, I'd love to get to the Premier League, and we probably would get relegated. I don't know. It's a weird one. Leeds and Burnley, do you really want to go back to the Premier League? Because it looks like at the minute we're just in a cycle of you go up, you go down, and then obviously you get the money from getting relegated. Parachute payments, you're going to go up again, and then you're going to go down. And I already predict, I'm going to make my prediction right now on the relegated 3 teams. I'm going to predict that I think Leicester will go up. Leicester might win the league. I think Southampton will go up. I think Southampton are going to finish 2nd. And Ipswich, it depends if Kieran McKenna stays or goes anywhere. But I'm going to predict that the top 3 teams, or at least the 3 teams that get promoted next season from the Championship, are going to be Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton. So then we're stuck in a situation, because I'm also going to say that next season, I'm going to predict that Burnley will get relegated. I think Leeds will get relegated. And I think if Sheffield United go up through the playoffs, I think they'll get relegated. I think out of the 3, the team that's most likely to probably stay up is Leeds, just for the fact they're talking about sacking Daniel Farke and getting a new manager. So maybe out of the 3 of them, Leeds will be the only one that stays up. But yeah, I don't know. It's a confusing cycle, to be honest. I mean, if you're a team that's been in the Premier League, like Leeds, Burnley, is it really that big of a deal anymore? Yes, you want to play in the Premier League, but would you rather not be in the Championship, you know, winning all the time and winning titles and being a good team until you go up and get smashed? So it's a sticky one, I don't know. But yeah, you guys tell me in the comments below, does the Premier League have a problem? Or is it not that deep? Is it not that dramatic? And maybe these teams are just not as well run as other teams, like I said, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Brentford. You let me know in the comments below. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for taking the time out your day to watch this video. I really do appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, then smash that like button, subscribe to the channel while you are down there. Make sure you stick around, I promise you won't regret it.